speak to the political reporter as well, Bill Bowkett, for his reactions. Good morning. Just give us your thoughts on what's taken place. It was pretty much inevitable, wasn't it, if the events of the last few days, last week, were to be believed?
Yeah, it's all been building up rather since Sugre eventually published her full report, even if the damage was more placed on, his inner circle, his aides, rather than himself. It was enough to trigger, many Tory MPs to file their letter of no confidence. The 54 threshold has been met at 15%. And now the question is whether Boris has the 179 members of parliament to keep him in office. But as we know, as history has also proven, is that just because Prime Minister can survive a confidence vote doesn't mean that his future is secure.
Outcomes, because there are a few outcomes. He could win the leadership vote. He could win the no confidence vote. He could lose the no confidence vote, and then there'll be a leadership vote, which which might even trigger a general election earlier than we expected. I mean, what do you think is the most likely scenario here?
It's pretty difficult to tell, because if you look at how many Tory MPs are on the payroll, as it's known, it's about 160 to 170. And of course, 180 is the key number that we're looking at here in order for either Boris Johnson to be ousted as Prime Minister and can't stand in a future leadership contest, or for him to survive. But as I mentioned, even if Boris Johnson were to survive this and the swing would go in his favour, of course, we've got the Privileges Committee investigation to come. We've got two monumental by-elections, which is going to, put the focus directly on number 10. And then with other issues coming around, like the cost of living crisis and then the continued developments in the war in Ukraine, it's not going to get any easier for Boris Johnson should he avoid the bullet here.
But I suppose, in a way, though, the public doesn't necessarily stand to benefit from this, because let's just say, hypothetically, Boris Johnson goes. I remain unconvinced that he will lose this confidence vote, by the way, but let's just say he does and that he goes, etc. I mean, then Labour might have to seriously come up with some policy so people can try to vote for them at a general election that may well just be around the corner, and they're going to have to get their backsides in gear, aren't they?
They will, and we've got the investigation by Durham Constabulary into their own, illicit parties, that happened last year during the Heart Liberal by-election, and Sir Keir Starmer, the Labour leader, has promised that he will stand down, and that will shake things up. But this is a prime opportunity for Labour if it does come around, and if a snap general election were to arise. I mean, as we've been seeing in the polls, Labour have been leading Tories, by as much as 10 points consistently, and it seems that the Partygate scandal and living costs is having an effect on public opinion and people's support of the Conservative Party, especially in these red wall seats where the Tories made all those huge gains back in 2019.
And you've obviously you're a keen observer of politics, and you have a good idea of where certain MPs sit and what the thinking in the Conservative Party and indeed the Labour Party is. Do you think, for those who have handed in their letters, those at least 54, there's anything Boris Johnson can say or do at this point that might get them to actually change their minds and not, vote against him in the leadership vote he has tonight?
Well, one thing I've been reading this morning is with the 2019 intake promising potential roles in the front bench as kind of an appeasement. And Boris Johnson, for the last few months, has been trying his best to, win back his loyalist supporters with what he calls like red meat policies. You've got the Rwanda scheme. You've got Rishi Sunak have been promising tax cuts, despite the strenuous circumstances which we're in at the moment. But I can't really see what more that Johnson can do. We had those, 38 bills in the Queen's speech, which have to be, approved should, within the next parliamentary year, when the general election is most likely to be next year. So I can't really see what more we could do.
All right, OK, Bill, look, thank you very much. Bill Bowkett there, of course, political reporter, political commentator. But we're going to go